that we cannot use the same strategy as Russia does, to use people as a battlefield meat.
That's all from me in Kiev.
Now on BBC News, the biggest African and international news stories. Focus on Africa.
Live from Nairobi, this is Focus on Africa on BBC News, our top stories. On a mission of peace, African leaders get set to mediate an end to the Russian invasion of Ukraine. A new law makes it easier for Nigerian students to access interest-free loans for higher education. But is it a smart move? Cashing in on content, why governments like Kenya are increasingly eyeing social media influencers as a taxable revenue stream.
It's a new space, and when it's a new phase, we want to not just incentivize it with growth, but also, make sure that everyone pays their rightful share of taxes.
Well, thanks for joining us on Focus on Africa. I'm Waihiga Mwaura. 6 African leaders are set to travel to Ukraine and Russia this week to help find a resolution to the ongoing war. South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa, who's spearheading the Africa Peace Initiative, said the leaders of the two countries agreed to have these talks separately. Other African countries backing the peace initiative include Senegal, Uganda, Egypt, the Republic of Congo, and Zambia. African countries have been badly hit by the Ukraine-Russia war, with rising prices of grain and fuel. The mission also comes after Cyril Ramaphosa was accused by the United States of supplying weapons to Russia earlier this year, an allegation the president has denied. Well, let's now take a look at other stories that we've been following closely for you, and now to Nigeria, where the educational landscape may be getting brighter for many, as President Bola Ahmed Tinubu signs a new student loan bill into law. The legislation is designed to make it easier for talented students from disadvantaged backgrounds to gain access to financial support from the government. Well, let's take a closer look. It's the first of its kind bill, which offers interest-free loans to low-income students looking to get into higher education. To qualify, the student's family income must be less than $1,000 a year. The loans are thought to have a flexible repayment plan, and students are granted a 2-year grace period after completing their education before they have to start paying it back. So, many pros, but there are also cons of this that you need to be aware of. There's been criticism of some of these stringent conditions for qualifying for the loans, and there are penalties for defaulting on repayments. That's either 2 years imprisonment or a fine of over $1,000 or even both. Well, let me now bring in education analyst Ogechi Oyoko, who is joining us from Abuja. Ogechi, thanks for speaking with Focus. Let's talk a little bit more about this new student education loan bill. How sure are we that the people who are in need of this new loan are the ones who will actually receive it? Ogechi, thanks so much for sharing some of your thoughts with us. Let me also bring in a student to also lend her voice to this. Precious Omeke, who's a student in her final year and from a single parent family. Precious, thanks for speaking with Focus. You plan to further your education in the future. So what do you feel about this new financial aid? Is it something you're looking forward to? Thank you, Precious, and we'll have to stop it there for now. Precious Omeke, who's a student in her final year and from a single-parent family, shedding light on our discussion today. But I now want to take you back to our lead story. 6 African leaders set to travel to Ukraine and Russia this week to help find a resolution to the ongoing war. South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa, who's spearheading the Africa Peace Initiative, said the leaders of the two countries agreed to have talks separately. And so I'm now joined by Dr. Ongama Mtimka, who's a political analyst at the Nelson Mandela University. Doctor, thanks for making time for Focus. How different a mediation strategy are you hoping to see from these African leaders as they attempt to put a stop, to intervene in the Russia-Ukraine war? Thank you so much, Dr. Ongama Mtimka, who's a political analyst at the Nelson Mandela University, for helping shed light on this discussion as well. Still to come, Kenya's plans to extend taxes on social media content creators. But will influencers in this growing sector like and subscribe to it? Welcome back to Focus on Africa. Let's now take a look at a problem that's affecting young people across the continent: unemployment. Due to the rising numbers of young people who are out of a job, many are now turning to social media to make ends meet. Almost all of them are venturing into content creation. It's relatively easy, and in most cases can be done just with a mobile phone. Huge numbers are getting paid from working with big brands such as Meta, YouTube, and even Google. And many African governments have realized that these digital spaces are a taxable revenue stream to help fix their financial shortcomings. One of them is Kenya. There's a contentious bill that was discussed in Parliament today, and one of the clauses looks at a plan to impose a 5% tax on income generated online, and this would be for all content creators, big and small, not just established influencers who already pay a levy. Now, earlier on, I spoke to Mr. Kimani Kuria, who is the chair of Kenya's Finance Committee in the National Assembly. I began by asking him what the thinking was behind the plan. Other African countries that have started implementing or have indicated plans to start implementing forms of digital tax are Nigeria, South Africa, Egypt, Tanzania, Mauritius, Uganda, Cameroon, Tunisia, Ghana, and Zimbabwe. The accelerated growth in digital services and e-commerce also presents new opportunities for Africa's economy. But what can governments do to tap into that revenue stream without stifling this growing sector? Well, to delve into the world of social media influencing a little deeper, I'm now joined in studio by content creator Esther Kazungu, and joining us from Accra, Ghana is financial advisor Dr. Richmond Frimpong. Dr. Frimpong, I'll start with you on this one. Explain to us, how do you think the rise of digital content creation has impacted economies in Africa? Okay,
yes.
Thank you so much. We've had Esther Kazungu, a content creator, joining us here in studio, and joining us remotely from Accra, Ghana, has been Dr. Richard Frimpong as well. But that's all from the program. From me, Waihiga Mwaura, and the rest of the Focus on Africa team, goodbye.